Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the House of Commons. My name is Pascal Atuma, and to my left,
Enyi Osuji, House of Commons.
LD Damola, House of Commons.
Ike STeeLE, House of Commons.
House of Commons.
Yes, sir.
Okay, mistress.
It's kind of before you give the topic first. No, the way you introduce it, you also said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the House of Commons.
Okay, before I was interrupted by this bald-headed guy, our topic today is, are we in the end times? You have seen what is happening. We just saw what happened in France. You see what is happening in Syria. You hear about what's happening in Nigeria. You hear about what is happening in Sudan, in South Sudan. All over the world, there is chaos everywhere. People are dying. There's killings, murder, every day. Even in the US here, there's people killing each other. What is going on? Are we in the end times? Are we, the events of today is something that's justifying what is in Revelations, that nations shall rise against nations. Brothers will rise against brothers. Sisters will rise against sisters. Religion will rise against religion. What is going on? Are we in the end times? What is really going on?
You start?
You go ahead.
I think it's. I don't think it's the end times. I think the devil is definitely active right now. I think we are in a transition stage of power shifting hands. You know, I personally think it started right after September 11th. It's hard for me to actually give a straightforward answer because I always feel like it's a bigger agenda than we can actually
conceive.
Exactly. You know, I think it's always I always think it's a bigger agenda, but nonetheless, I do think we are in a transitional stage to a greater population control kind of thing. So, you know, it's pretty devastating what's going on. I remember growing up in Nigeria. I haven't seen too much chaos before, but I remember when, I think it was Abiola died, and I remember in Nigeria when you protest to show support, you put like a green leaf in front of your car, right? If I remember clearly, I was going to school, and I remember that was the first time I ever saw a dead body on the street, and that was when I learned that dead bodies swell up after a certain time, because every day we went back and forth to school, the bodies on the floor, nobody moved. They didn't take the bodies anywhere, and they kept swelling up. So I remember that kind of chaos, but the stuff that's going on these days, right now, is pretty devastating, and I think it's not the end of time, because when you look at history, it always happens, and it fixes itself, but we're right at the beginning of a transitional stage that is looking like it's getting a lot scarier.
Can I ask you a question before you proceed?
Okay.
When you say at the beginning of transitional stage, transitional power, from who to who?
I think it's the powers that have always been, right? It's a shift. There's not that much money in the United States of America right now, right? There's at one point we had a lot of money, and I've always said this since Barack Obama became president, and J. Cole said in one of his lyrics, they handed him the ship, but they didn't tell him that the ship was sinking. It seems as if we're going to get back to where we were before, but right now, the economy, the middle class, and the haves and have-nots, that gap is becoming more evident, and we come from a country where that's always been the case for quite a while. So it looks like that's what's going on right now, and America's economy always affects the outside world. With that said, a lot of people outside are panicking, so are people within America. As far as the terrorism stuff is concerned, that's a whole nother topic, but I just feel like there's a shift of power, and it's basically separating the haves and the have-nots. And those people in the middle.
You think that's what is causing all this chaos?
Absolutely. Absolutely, and we'll get into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just gonna say that because you were talking about this as far as the United States and you're talking about Nigeria. I think are these the end times? I'm not sure, but when I look at what's happening, like you were saying, these are the things that have happened throughout history. You know, it's these events and these kind of things have happened before, and these kind of things. I wonder if it's because of the fact that things are now highlighted to the world, to everyone. So if something happens in a certain part of the world, everybody knows about it. So it's not like you can do something in Australia, and they're not gonna know about it. We're gonna know about it, and it'll be all over the internet, and it'll be all over Facebook. So I don't know whether it's just the tool of social media, or I don't know if it's actually more intense than it's ever been. But I know that when you go to other places, they live in chaos consistently. There's a 9/11 for people every single day in certain places. So and then there's another angle to it that I think is interesting as far as the end times go, is the weather and the climate and the earth. They're saying that Miami or the beach is going to be completely like the beach areas is going to be like water. So they have to move people at least 30 miles in east. The world is changing. The climate's changing. It's getting hotter. There's parts of the world that have crazy weather, like ridiculous weather. So I wonder if is it just the way the world cycle, the way it's going or whatever. But because it's not just us. It's the world changing. Biblically, it's things that are happening in the world during the end times. So I wonder if that's the case. I don't know if it's end times or not, because I don't know if it's because we're seeing more of everything now, or is it just that it's more of everything.
Okay, what about you?
Well. This is a very interesting topic. Well, coming from my upbringing, where how I was raised to believe that this is the end times. Mm-hmm. But as an adult, I think a little differently. Mm-hmm. I don't think it has anything to do with the end times. Mm-hmm. It's just like both of you said, one has a lot to do with things that are happening today. Has a lot to do with social media and how easily accessible information can spread now. Mm. And number two, the fact that most of the things, I think it also has to do with America being an empire. Empires rise and empires fall. Mm. It's sad to say. If you read, there's some books that I read that talk about how America, with time, will become a third world country. And if you watch carefully, slowly, America is drifting into that, because now we have the largest, our middle class is disappearing. America is fastly becoming the third world country like Nigeria, where you have the rich and the poor. There's no middle class. Middle class is becoming a thing of the past. There's been some authors that have written about stuff like this. Mm-hmm. Look at the rise and fall of the Roman Empire. Look at the rise and fall of the Spanish Empire. Look at the rise and fall of places. The British. Look at the rise and what they're saying now. The next superpower is going to be, the next empire is going to be China. And if you watch what's going on with the economies of the world, China is dominating everybody and everything. These things are kind of deep.
China's money is not really in China, but we can go into that another time.
Okay, are you done?
Well, kind of. I'm kind of done. But I think we'll go more into it.
For me, are we in the end times? The only way I can speak on this is if I speak on it from the biblical point of view. Okay. Because I was raised in the church. And the only way I can interpret someone going to the concert hall and killing 80-something people, the only way I can interpret someone picking up a gun and shooting people in a restaurant, the only way I can interpret someone trying to go into a stadium where people are playing soccer and people are having fun to bomb that place, the only way I can interpret someone getting on a flight and going to hit the towers in New York is through the Bible. That's the only way I can interpret it. And if I can read, and the people see with my phone, I can read what is written in Mark chapter 13 verse 8.
Preach.
It says, during the end times, nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be earthquakes in various places, and famines. These are the beginning of bad pains. These are the beginning of bad pains and signal of the end times. So another one said, nation will go to war against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. there will be earthquakes in many parts of the world, as well as famine. But this is only the first of the bad things with more to come. And if you listen to the news, like the ICIS, whatever they call them, that claimed
ISIS.
what they call them?
ISIS.
ISIS. ISIS, that's what they call them. ISIS. They claimed that they did the bombings and the killings in France. And you know what they said? That is just the beginning. So the only way I can explain it, the only way I can actually get with the program and actually accept it is only if I go in through the Bible. And if you go in through the Bible and you see everything that is going on, example, the gay to gay marriages now that's been approved. If you look back when we had our forefathers, even the forefathers of Americans, because let's assume now we're judging from the Western standpoint, why didn't their grandfathers approve gay marriages? Do you understand what I'm saying? Why is it that during those days there was no, before, when I first came to America, if you're going through security at the airport, right, you didn't have to take off your belt and your shoes and all that stuff. But since after September 11th, now you're going through the airport, it's not a problem. Do you understand what I'm saying? Even when you're flying, you're not sure of what is going to happen. So the only way I can explain this is through the Bible. Yes, we are close to it. We are close to it if we're not there. If we're not there, then this is the beginning of it.
Okay, let me just say a couple of things. And this might be, we're going to go deep into it in the conversation, but this might be going way left field. I think, looking at it from a logical standpoint, I think it is a way of controlling a larger scale of people a lot easier than it had been done before. Because before the internet, I had to call Nitel in Nigeria, right? And I had to try 9 times to get somebody in Nigeria over the phone. Now, the internet has given us a lot of information, right?
Modern technology.
Modern technology has given us a lot of information, but do you know that the fingerprint on your iPhone is not because it's for you to easily access your phone, but when you use your finger, your thumbprint, it's a verification that you are the person that's right here, right now. So if you needed to be tracked, they could track you right here, right now, because you can't say you're not the one because your fingerprint verifies that you're right here, right now.
Is that the mark of the beast?
I don't know exactly what it is, but it's funny you mention that because when people start getting scared, right? In America, we have Social Security, right? Social Security can now easily be duplicated online. It can be sold anytime you get it. When people start getting scared, the easiest way to help them be accounted for will be to somehow make it easy to track them.
They're trying to find a way to control it.
Okay.
You know, you know, there are a lot of things. There are a lot of things that we can't even speak on because it's so well planned. All you can really do is just look at it from a perspective of, okay, how do you make sure that you stay on the right side of life at this point, because the transition is a lot trickier than it seems. There's a lot of desensitization that's going on. Every day when you turn on the news, we see it so much. Like, Paris happened yesterday and it's already kind of old. And it just happened. But that's because we saw somebody go into a church and kill 22 people. We saw somebody in Connecticut kill 20 children. We've seen Bring Back Our Girls. We've seen Black Lives Matter. All these things are happening consistently. And I really think it is some sort of desensitization so that when the real issues start coming, we are so... The boy who cried wolf, it won't be new anymore. So if your neighbor dies, it's just like, okay.
Well, I guess part of what you're saying, or another way to put it is, did you know that before Hitler started killing Jews, he put on the media for about a year how bad these people were, the negative things about these people. So that's a way to break down your defenses if you're going to oppose him to now go and start. He tries to justify the fact that he has to kill the Jews. So in a way, with these things that we see, like, you see how they vilify and victimize black people on the screen, and that was another way to control society and lessen your defenses. So now, what is the highest people that are incarcerated in our jails? Blacks, right? So when they show how bad these people are, how much of a threat these people are, they now justify the fact that these people they deserve to be locked up for the slightest slightest offense. You and I can commit the same offense, but if I'm a different race, a lighter skin shade, we might not have the same punishment. That is because of the control fact. And honestly, Pascal, you might disagree because you go into the Bible and look, there's been wars right from the beginning of the war, back even in the biblical times. There was war. Everybody was fighting war during the time of Moses, Saul, Isaiah the prophet. What are the kings there for? They were war leaders. In biblical times, they've killed more people in the name of religion than even terrorists have killed today. So, look, it's all about somebody or some system trying to broaden your mind. Some people will say, well, this guy have erred from the way of God. Whatever you may say, that's your opinion. So
don't you think it's common sense though?
After a while, but religion or secular religion makes you try to define everything based on the scripture. And you find out, if you go deep into it, scripture was how we got into slavery in the first place.
I mean,
Okay, then hold on. I just want to say something.
I want to ask you a question.
I want to say something real quick.
Okay.
The thing about it is, as much as I'm being a black person in America, seeing what I see every day and seeing and dealing with racism even when some micro interactions and it's like you deal with racism, it still doesn't take away the fact that it still doesn't remove the Bible aspect of it, because human beings are human beings. People in all parts of the world oppress other people, do evil things to other people, kill other people for no reason, fight over religious wars. That's nothing new.
people kill each other over soccer.
Over nothing.
Yeah, it's stupid.
I think that the reason why we're going to a higher level with as far as like the powers that be, whoever these people are, there's an agenda that we just don't know what that is. And I think what I'm more fearful of is along the lines of the security level. Like, I know the chip is already here. It's not even that the chip is coming. The chip is already here already. So I'm kind of concerned about where our attention is, and as bad as it sounds, I don't think, because it's my people, it's never ever a battle not worth fighting for. But when I look at it at the end of the day, at times I get so frustrated because I feel like it's a bigger battle that we're fighting against than just race and everything, on a daily basis.
Yeah, you see,
We're dealing with sin. Human beings.
Another way I can explain this is politically. There's somebody's bank account is getting fatter, richer, because some people are dying.
Definitely.
Somebody's business is booming because there's bloodshed.
Yes.
By the way, that's our #1 export in America.
Yeah.
Weapons.
Okay.
So there has to be war somewhere.
Some economy is growing because some people are dying. Right? I give you an example, the issue of Boko Haram. When Boko Haram was going on in Nigeria, which is still going on in Nigeria, there's a lot of people in the high place that doesn't want it to stop. Because if it stops, their businesses will go down. Right? So what I'm saying is this: even though that we can go with the religion side to explain this, are we in the end times? I will say we're in the end times because some people have lost their conscience. Some human beings don't have conscience anymore. Because if you look at, let's just use example of what happened in France, right? There's a story about a young kid from Cal State, one of these universities in California.
I think, or something like that.
They went over there just for a semester course, a semester program, right? And she's eating in a restaurant with her friends, and they shot her. She was one of the people that was killed. A young girl from California, right? Then when I was reading that story early this morning, I said, wow, what if she was my sister? So I just lost my sister just like that. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Now, whoever is out there, or even if the ISIS or whatever you call them, or is the Boko Haram or whatever it is that's causing this, I think when you end someone's life like that, right? I think you've ended some part of life in the world.
Okay. Can I ask a quick question?
I
I just want to ask a quick question.
So for me, I think it's the end time.
Can I ask a quick question?
The question is, are we in the end times? And I'm saying, yes, we are in the end times, or we are at the beginning of the end times.
In the Bible, it talks about how the love of money is the root to all evil, right? Because people say money is the root to all evil. No, money's not the root to all evil. The love of money is the root to all evil. And not to knock it, but everybody knows, in America, cash is king. Cash is king everywhere, but cash is really king here. And capitalism is the way. And it's kind of one of those things that you can't fight. It's like being in the ocean and trying to fight water. You're in it.
But can I?
So let me just ask one quick question. Since capitalism is basically how this system is run, and it's all about money, it's all about cash, don't you think that that's the proponent for a lot of these things?
Can I
Wouldn't
say
that be a motive?
Just to kind of give a perspective. We've all lived in different parts of this world. We've all visited different parts of this world. I would be the first to say, no matter how capitalistic the United States of America is, if America is being 30% unfair, a lot of other countries in this world are being 146 billion% worse. I'm just going to be quite honest.
I don't know if I'll go that far.
I think I'll go that far because...
Being unfair, I can see what he's saying on being unfair.
And Osuji, you and I got financial aid.
Yeah, being unfair, I see where he's coming from.
Of course. So
it's different when you're saying
capitalism,
unfair.
I get what you're saying, and
Because that's not really what I'm saying, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I want him to
touch on that. Okay,
I just want to make sure that we don't forget certain things that also proved end times. But the way sexuality is exchanged, the way children are raised, the way there's so many other things where not just these suicide bombings and shootings. There's so much that is going on.
There's so much point.
So much sin.
Can I come in real quick? Well, I don't in any way condone what's happening these days with, like you said, with this, how young people go into prostitution to make money, or the killings, with ISIS and all the terrorist group. I don't condone none of it, or the fact that definitely America is one of the greatest countries in the world, because America is one of the countries that gives ordinary people with almost nothing, a hope to become something the next day. It's very possible here, okay? I was born in Nigeria. One of our biggest problems in Nigeria is electricity, okay? Because of the lack of electricity, there's almost really nothing else to do, because whenever there's no light, it's like, it's death. You're in hell, okay? We kept looking at, that's when you get to cling more to your Bible. What is the primary activity of people in Nigeria? Church. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Because there's nothing else to do.
Is that why you say the Bible led to slavery?
No, that's not why I can go into that deep.
Use the Bible. Let me just say, use the Bible to justify slavery.
They use Bible. No. We use Bible to justify everything in Nigeria. Everything.
And we didn't write the Bible.
Exactly. And well, you see, one thing about humanity or mankind, whatever we don't understand or cannot explain, it has to be, Bible or God. We use the God, argument to explain things that we don't. I had a conversation with a lady. We went to the same church growing up in Nigeria, and she said why America is having tornadoes and earthquake and people are dying from that, because that was there was I think that was hurricane. What was that hurricane in Houston?
Katrina.
I think it's Katrina happened, and she happens New Orleans. Yeah. She happened to be visiting. And she said it's because of the sin of America and blah, blah, blah. That's why that happened. I was like, sister, I don't think so. There are some things that are prone to happen here because of the geography. There are some things that happen in Nigeria that can never happen here because of the geography. That's how it is.
Yeah.
Okay? The fact that Katrina happened has nothing to do with the sin of America. It's just because of the geography and the climate. Okay? She tries to use Bible to justify and to tell me this and that. I'm like, I'm sorry. You think that way, but that's how I think. Yeah. Can you say something?
I will never argue against someone's belief of what karma and energy does, though.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you with the geographical standpoint, but one thing that I will never ever argue against is someone's belief of what energy does. And when I say energy, I mean the spirit.
Well,
right?
Well,
Because
that,
you know people-
in a way, let me tell you. Okay,
Okay.
explain why TB Joshua's church got on fire or got the roof fell down.
Explain why he. I'm nothing against him.
That's a structural problem.
Exactly.
That's a structural
That could
problem.
be because of the sin of TB Joshua or his church members.
No.
That's one example.
No.
Okay, explain why the evil that men do live after them.
Well, give me a specific example.
That's a specific one.
No.
Explain
Tell
why.
me what
Explain why. If
what
you
evil?
did something
What evil?
evil today, it is going to come back no matter
Okay,
what.
explain why there's no snow in Nigeria. Why does snow not fall in Nigeria?
and as he said,
Because of the climate.
geographical.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's
Okay.
what it is.
But that's a bad example.
No, it's not a bad example. It's
And
reality.
I wanna say
No.
something.
Are you telling me an earthquake can never happen in Nigeria?
Hold on.
It hasn't happened.
Hold on.
Can it happen?
I don't know.
Exactly.
But
So snow is not
what are
maybe
the chances of it happening compared? It has
But it
never
can.
happened.
But it
It's
can.
probably
But
never
it can.
happened in our lifetime.
Excuse me.
Period.
Enyi, can you come in?
Let me just say one thing, because I've talked to people who legitimately have met people. First of all, who claim to have not predicted some of these events years before they've happened, but they predicted these events before they've happened. Huh? No. There will be a great wind, in this part of whatever. I'm not saying it's 100% true or it's not true, but like he's saying, I wouldn't just dismiss things like that just because.
Yeah,
Because
energy especially.
I don't dismiss things like that because, if somebody says something like, and it happens a lot, people predict it's like, this is probably gonna happen, this is gonna happen, and it happens sometimes. And it's not because I'm not saying they predicted something, but I just don't. It's almost like juju in Nigeria, like, hey, I believe in God, but I believe in God.
I
But
just will not. I just
I'm
will
not gonna play with it though.
Yeah.
Do you know,
I don't play with
you know
it
the
though.
reality of what you just said? That is why, and I'm going to tie this to how the Bible brought slavery. Do you know we believe in God in Africa more than even Americans or Christianity was sold to us as a religion, as the religion?
I wouldn't argue that.
Do you know?
That's true.
Now, let me tell you something. All those babalawos and herbalists, or let me not say babalawo, let me say naturopathic medicine, native doctors. How did our forefathers live long lives? How did they survive? How did they solve problems and cures and stuff? They mixed herbs and took care of their ailments. Now, I don't want to say the white man, but Western society came and sold us this lies that we needed a tablet, a pill. Now that whatever those people were doing is evil and is not supposed to be, is not right. Because they couldn't justify, put the right order or the right amount of whatever herbs they were mixing together to make you well. And now they want you to go and buy their medicine to take care of your ailment. But meanwhile, you took those herbs and people lived long lives and they were cured.
Not only that, but the Western medicine give you worse side effects than the actual disease you have.
Exactly.
But let me say this. And I fault Nigeria. I fault Nigerians because I don't think the teachings of religion is bad. Whether you're Muslim or you're Christian, I think the moral foundation is a beautiful thing.
It is.
Where Nigerians go wrong is the exaggerated belief in the messenger giving the message. So instead of actually understanding, I'm here to learn the moral lesson. Because truthfully, a lot of the Bible is common sense in life.
Yeah.
Right? I always think church is like a gas station to a car. Really, you go there, you refuel, they teach you the lessons and use these lessons to learn. But with these things that are happening these days, it's a lot of biased perspectives that are taking ownership in the structural side of these lessons, which has nothing to do with what we're supposed to be learning in the first place.
And honestly, if you look at all these billionaires and millionaires, Warren Buffett, all these people, all these people who preach about positivity, all these things, law of attraction, it mirrors the Bible.
Exactly.
It's the same thing. It's just remove the universe and put God there. It's the same thing.
Okay. For me, honestly speaking, I think that people should look at the world differently. It is not really what it's not what it seems like it is. Because I give you an example. I keep going back to the Paris people, right? That was Friday night in Paris, right? People, they finished work. They just wanted to go out and have a good time. They didn't know that was going to be the end. So that's why I say we are living in the end times. Because the way things are going now, no one can predict when it's going to happen. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Right? Because now you can't even justify that you bought a plane from Los Angeles and make it to DC safely.
Well,
am I making sense?
You want to say
Now,
something?
now you can't even. Okay, let me ask you a question. If we're not living in the end times, where is safe to go now?
Nowhere. And let me say something to tie
Am I making sense?
Absolutely, I agree.
Where is safe to go now?
Nowhere, right? And to tie to something that he said, I'm pretty sure when the person who was making social media, the people who were making the internet, when they were making it, it was for a beautiful cause, right? But one thing that goes on in the internet age these days is a lot of copycat. A lot of copycat. It is a lot easier to connect with someone with no trace, right? So a lot of copycatting is going on right now. Here's the other side of it. The way that it's going to be controlled, where these things don't happen as much, I don't think it's going to work in the favor of the regular citizen. Because now, you're going to have to give up your freedom to prove that you are not plotting to do anything crazy. And to be quite honest, if you look at it logically, right, the thing that you mentioned about the mark of the beast, if you look at it logically right now, as you just asked that question, where is it to go? Where is it safe to go?
Where is safe?
If you look at it logically, that is the only way it'll make sense to make sure that these things don't keep happening, is by tracking everybody.
Yeah.
Now,
which is why immigration is a big deal.
exactly. So the way these things are structured, right? A lot of people don't like the idea, but are gonna have to kind of go towards that idea because that is the only way.
Who said they're not tracking everybody?
They're already doing it. They're doing it now. You're not gonna be able to argue it.
Yeah.
Before, when you used to come through immigration, you have to meet an immigration officer before. Now, if you have a U.S. passport, a Canadian
just click it.
passport,
Yeah.
and you're coming to the U.S., you don't have to speak to an immigration officer. All you gotta do is go to the machine, and put in your fingerprint. Picture will take your picture and will give you a piece of paper. That means you're
clear.
You're clear.
Well,
right?
see, the truth is, as technology and as we develop, the ways of living changes. It's like deep. We used to have tape. We used to have gramophone or records. Those things gave way to CD players.
Right.
CD players and it's given away now to digital. Very soon there will be nothing, no DVDs, because everything is digital. Download. Everything is look, with time, things evolve. Other things become dinosaurs.
Can I?
Okay?
Look, I'm sorry.
What has happened with social media? It's true that because of all the things that happen in France, it's encroaching on some of our liberties. But that's part of what comes with something new. It's going to be tweaked and adjusted and things like that happen. But a part of before I know you eat to say something before you go. Let me just say this real quick before I forget. Part of what happened in France. I'm not happy that it happened. Okay. Now that's the big selling point for Republicans, saying that Obama wants to bring about 12,000 Syrians in America. And now, do you know that it's more sympathetic to say don't bring these refugees in than prior to these things? It would be no argument. America would have brought, even up to 1 million Syrians. These are people that have been displaced. They don't have a home. Do you know what it means to be in a war? You're talking about how many people died in France. But we're talking about millions that are displaced, have no home, no water, no electricity, no light. And America, look, what makes America great? Because of the fact that in United Nations, whatever Europe is doing, America is by United Nations standard, America is supposed to do more than any other country in the world.
Okay.
But since the Syrian war started, how many people have come to America because of what? Because of 9/11 or because of this terrorist attack. So you see how this thing is affecting the key thing that America is supposed to liberate and be number one wherever.
Yeah.
You know?
I just want to say one thing. It's in everything that it's a really morbid conversation because it's real, it's honest, but and everything is always good and bad. When social media came in, it was good. You know what I'm saying? It's still good because you can share information to a mass amount of people quite quickly, and people were benefiting from that. Now the downside to it is all the other stuff we're talking about, them tracking us. Then also, even though we're sharing information, now there's a whole bunch of information. So you have to be intelligent enough to recognize what's real information, what's credible information. Because middle America, I'm sorry, a lot of the middle America is not going to be able to discern and decipher which is real information and not good information. Because not everybody.
Let me add on to that. I'm sorry to say this, but the general population is not affluent enough to actually even consume information. I'm just going to be absolutely honest with you because the general population.
But a lot of us are sheep. A lot of us are sheep, which is a part of the problem.
If we keep going, we're gonna keep going.
Yeah, let's conclude. Yeah,
let's conclude. You guys have in mind what the topic is?
Right. Based on the topic.
Are we in the end times?
Can I go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think we're in the end times. I just think it's a way of explaining something that we don't have an explanation to. Okay, I'm not happy that all those things is happening in the world with ISIS and terrorists and what happened in France. Recently, my sister was in France 2 weeks ago before this happened. I mean, she could have been where? I mean, when I was talking with her on iPhone, I asked, that was during Halloween. I told her, show me what you're seeing, and we were talking on what's that thing on iPhone? FaceTime. We were talking on FaceTime, and I was looking at her, she was in France, and this thing just happened, and I was like, oh my God, this could have been my sister. It's sad. I'm not happy it happened. But first of all, we should not forget the fact that people are going through a lot of hard time and hardship, and for people that are saying that America should not help Syrians that are displaced, that are in a war zone, think about if this was you, or your family, your brother, your sister in Syria have no light, no electricity, no comfort, nowhere to live yet. How would you react? Okay, what I think is America should still do their play their humanitarian role, help those people, but of course screen these people. There are ways you can screen people to separate the wheat from the tares. It's possible. You can't tell me all 12,000 Syrians are all terrorists or ISIS. How many people are really in ISIS? ISIS doesn't even have that many numbers to be serious. Look, I'm not saying I don't condone ISIS or any terrorist group, but all I'm saying is we should not forget our humanity to help people that are displaced just because of we want to fulfill or satisfy our selfish political goals. That's my conclusion.
I agree. Are we in the end times? As I said earlier, I don't believe we're in the end times, but I do believe we're in the beginning of a dangerous transitional stage that I think needs to be, personally, I think one thing that we should do as human beings, whether you're in America, London, Nigeria, wherever you are, I'm pretty sure no matter what your religious beliefs are, no matter what your spiritual beliefs are, I think everybody gets a good idea of what good and bad is. I hope that is the case. I hope people understand the dark side and the light, right? It is important these days to be on the light side. One thing that you need to understand, no matter what is going on anywhere around you in this world, evil will never, ever, ever
True.
defeat
True.
good energy.
I
It
agree.
will never, ever, it has never,
True.
ever, ever happened. It will never happen. There's no way this beautiful world was designed this beautifully and it will end. No. Are things going to change? Absolutely. And a lot of times when things are transitioning, it's very, very, very bitter, right? It is up to us to make sure that it's not as bitter as it can be. You know, so that's why I love shows like this and anything else that is putting out good energy, right? We're not in the end times, we're in the transitional stage, and I think it is up to us human beings to give out good energy and make sure that we do not leave an embarrassing world for our children.
Wow.
Because what we're doing right now is it's not even sad anymore. It's embarrassing as human beings. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fearful that it might be the end times, you know, and I would agree that it's not the end times, but is the beginning of something, and I'd also would agree that you know we're in the prehistoric phase of the internet. So I mean, in the prehistoric phase of a new world, you know, and so. You know, with those changes and those transitions, you're gonna go through a lot of these things. We're dealing with human beings. Remember that, you know, born in sin and shaped in iniquity and all that stuff. So it's not like you talking about screening people. Human beings are gonna be screening people. So we got prejudice, we got racism, we got power structure, we got all kinds of things that we're fighting within it. So it's a big mess already. We got money involved, you know, and so it's not a simple, for me, it's not a simple yes or no. I think that definitely, apart from the other stuff we're talking about, we were talking about even just, you know, as I know PC Police be all over me for saying this, but we talk about the same-sex marriage, all these other things that are going on. If we're going to go to
adultery, it's like all the 10 Commandments are just being shoved out the window.
Everything is just out there, one more thing, and I'll be done. What I've always had an issue with is now there's no rules. Like there's no structure anymore. It's like we just do what we want to do. Like, and there's no. And I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that the structure that we had was the right way before 100%. There was something there, you know.
It's anarchy now.
It's just like whatever, just do what they want to do. Like, no, they're, you know. And as far as the end time, so let me just add one more thing. We were talking about this earlier today. We talked about fathers and we talk about family structure. The reason why a lot of men don't know how to be men because they never saw a man. They never had a man teach them how to be a man. Wow. A lot of women struggle, even if they had a mother, but if there was no father, we all know what that looks like. So, we're dealing with, there's so many complexities to this. So, that's pretty much it, y'all.
For me, I think we are approaching the end time. Or we are already at the end time. We're already in it. Because
you think we're in it?
We are in it. We are in it. We just don't know when it's gonna pack up, but we are in it. Because you can't tell me that someone will just go to a restaurant to eat without fighting with anyone, and that's the end of his life or her life. You cannot tell me that someone will go to a concert hall to enjoy a concert, and that's the end of his or her life. You cannot tell me that someone will go into a stadium to watch a soccer game, just to enjoy a game and see who's gonna win and come home, and that's the end of his life. You cannot tell me that someone is now, when you bought a plane ride, we fly all the time. Within the last 1 month, I've been to 5 countries, right? Then, so you want to tell me that whenever I'm going to any country now, I'm sitting inside that plane, I don't know if I'm going to land or not. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, if at that point you tell me it's not the end time, what is it then? Am I making sense?
Yeah.
What is it then? You know, what is it then that someone will wake up now and say, I'll see you later. And that will see you later becomes bad.
The end of
you know what I'm saying? And you tell me we're not in the end time. And then if you look at it from the biblical point of view, everything that was said in Revelation that will happen when this time comes is happening now. Yes, Ike said these things have been happening, there's been wars and all that type, but there's new system of wars now. Before, if they are during the Roman Empire or all those empires, if there's war, you know that you're fighting war. But this time you don't even know who the enemy is. Who is the enemy? You're always somebody riding in a box. You think the person is a passenger, but the person is a suicide bomber. So there's no way to even dictate who the enemy is. So because of that we cannot dictate who the enemy is, number one. Number two, there's no place that's safe to go now. The schools, you can't go to school and you're safe inside the school. You can't go to the cinema hall to watch a movie, you don't know what is going to happen. You can't go to the restaurant to eat, you don't know what is going to happen. You can't join a train, you don't know what is going to be the result of being in that train. Even now, to be in traffic. Do you know now it's dangerous not to be in traffic?
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So with all that added up, I think we're in the end times. How's that?
Alright, that's what comes.
You know, everybody, stay prayed up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes, sir.
And
With your
do not be scared.